Some words of the English language are too difficult to differentiate. Let's talk about homophones. Homophones are words that are pronounced the same way but don't mean the same thing. In spoken English, we use context to determine which word is being used or talked about. But when it comes to writing, these words become more confusing and complex. Let's have a quiz to understand how the confusing pair of words work in English. Choose the right option to fill in the blanks. I have three sentences as a quiz for you. There are a pair of confusing words given in each sentence. You need to figure out which word should go where in the blanks. So the first sentence, I went to the dash to write my dash. So if I will pronounce it, it will be easy for you to, figure out based on the context that which word you need to put where. So I will ask you to do the quiz by yourself, and by the end I will be sharing the right answers with you. The second sentence, the football players are dash for tonight's game. All ready or already? Now the pronunciation is the same. Technically there is a little difference. So you need to decide which word, which choice you need to put here. Number 3, can you show me where the dash on the dash needs to be repaired? Alright? So ceiling and ceiling. Which word should go where in the blank? You need to decide. So let's continue. In today's lecture, I will be discussing 10 more words that are confusing, right? So, number 1, it's versus it's. Now, technically, we could see that the only difference between this pair is the use of apostrophe here in the first one, a word. Now, this makes the difference. Let's talk about it's with an apostrophe. Now, whenever it's with an apostrophe appears, it is used as a contraction of it is. It is a contraction of it is. Now, simply, you need to understand whenever it appears with an apostrophe, that is a contracted form. What is a contracted form? It is the short form of a word. Now in this case, the full form is it is and the contracted form is it's with an apostrophe. Example, she needs to pack for the trip because it's only 2 days away, right? It's here comes with an apostrophe. What is the full form? It is. So here the full form is contracted with an apostrophe s. Now here we have it's without an apostrophe. Alright? So whenever it appears without apostrophe, it is a possessive pronoun that means belonging to it. Now whenever it appears without apostrophe, that shows possession. Now what is possession? That is belongingness, that something belongs to someone. Example, the cat wiggled its tail and run away. Now whose tail? The cat's tail. Okay, so it's here stands for the cat, right? Let's move to the next word. Empathy versus sympathy. Now, technically, they are different from each other in terms of meaning, alright? But might be some of the students might say that there seems no difference, but indeed there is difference. Let me start with the discussion by saying that in both the pairs, we see that the root word path is used, and I have already recorded a lesson on this root path in my previous lessons. You could watch it, right? Now, what is path? Path is a root which means feeling, all right? Like sympathy, empathy, and so on, apathy, right? Okay, now what is empathy? We could see the root path, which means feeling. It is the ability to understand another person's perspective or feelings. Now, what is empathy? It's actually an ability of a person to understand another person's perspectives or feelings, right? Example, with a little empathy, you would understand why things developed complex at the party. Now, in this context, we could see that something went wrong at the party. So, someone needs to understand, someone needs to have empathy to understand why things went wrong at the party. The next word in this pair, sympathy. Now, path is a root which means feeling. Sympathy is feeling of sorrow for someone else suffering. Okay, so the example, the global community needs to show sympathy with the guns as Taliban take control of Afghanistan and crisis begin in Afghanistan. We all are aware of the fact that Taliban have taken control on majority of areas of Afghanistan, and the people are suffering. So we have sympathy for the Afghans. So what we are doing, we are showing sympathy. That is, we have sorrow, okay, for their suffering. Okay, moving to the next. Now this pair seems to be interesting, and I bet that most of you might have confused with this pair of words, that which one you need to use. Altogether, altogether. The pronunciation is the same. Technically, the difference is one is written without space, whereas the other is written with space. Now, altogether. It's a single word adverb that means completely, thoroughly, or in total. Now, you should notice that this is written without space. There isn't space between all and together. Example, some of the professor's lecture altogether is impossible to understand. Let me make the correction. Uh, yes, there is correction. I guess I read it wrong. Let me read it again. Some of the professor's lecture is altogether impossible to understand. Now, altogether means thoroughly, completely, in total. The second example, Toyota seeks to stop investing in diesel engines altogether. Altogether means in total, completely. Okay? Now, altogether with space refers or means everyone, everything in one space or one place. Example, put your cloth all together in one pile and I will wash them for you. All together means in one place. The second example, they put all the tickets together in a wallet, right? So all together means in one place, right? And here altogether means completely, thoroughly, or in total. Next, already versus already. Again, this pair seems to be confusing too. The first word in this pair is written without space, whereas the second word is written with space. Now this is something you need to notice. Already. The adverb already, when it appears as one word, means previously or by this time. Alright? Either it refers to time or it refers to something already occurred previously. Our bags have already been inspected by the police. Already means done with. Right. The game had already started by the time we reached the stadium. Means that when we reached the stadium, the game had already started. Okay, by the time we reached the stadium, the game had already started. Now, the second word, already, it's written with space. The adjective phrase already, when it appears as two words, means completely or fully prepared. Example, as soon as I put my coat on, I will be all ready. Means completely prepared, completely ready. We are all ready to board the plane. Already means completely ready or fully prepared. Moving to the next. Moral versus morale. Okay? Moral. Moral can be defined as the standards or beliefs which define a right or wrong behavior of people. Example, the moral values of our society is decreasing with time. Moral, something good or something bad, alright? Based on the societal beliefs and standards, alright? The second moral, alright, is morale is used to describe someone's spirit or degree of enthusiasm. Alright, example, after winning the series, the team's morale is high. The team's spirit is high. The team's enthusiasm is high. Alright, next. Personal versus personal. Now the pronunciation seems same, but the spell varies. Let's see what is the difference. Personal means intimate, owned by a person. Okay? Example, don't poke your nose in someone's personal matter. Okay? The second example, I went on Pakistan tour in my personal car. Personal means something that is owned by a person. Intimate. The second personal with EL, double N-E-L. It refers to employees, right? Personal refers to a group of people who work for a company or an institution. Okay, so we could suppose the meaning of employees. Now the example, after unrest reported on the border, army personnel were deployed at the body. Not body, border. Right? So here in this sentence, it's used in the sense of employees. Right. Next. Wave and wave. The pronunciation is the same, the spell differs, varies. Wave means forgo, renounce, refrain. Wave as a verb, it means to decline to exercise a rule or right. Waive is often used in legal context. Very important. Example, despite the late payment, his semester fee were waived. Alright? The second wave flutter, moving back and forth. Now, I hope you are familiar with this word wave, sea waves. Wave can be a noun or a verb. So we have two examples here. Let's see how it's used as a noun and how it's used as a verb. I want to go swimming at the beach, but the waves are too high. Now here it's used as a noun. Waves are too high means something. Okay, the waves are too high. Here it's used as a noun. Now let's use it as a verb. My friend waved me at the station. Now here it refers to an action. Okay, so it's used as a verb. Moving to the next, apposite and opposite. Apposite, the first one is apposite. Let me highlight it. The first one is apposite, the second one is opposite. So the only difference we could see is the beginning alphabet, A and O. Apposite. Apposite is appropriate, relevant, well-suited, fit for something. Example, your answer is quite apposite to the question. I found his speech wholly appropriate to the debate. Now here we could replace appropriate with apposite. He comments, not he comments, his comments. There is typing mistake, so I ask pardon for it. His comments were entirely apposite to the subject under discussion. So apposite means completely appropriate, relevant, well-suited. Now, the second word, opposite, means contrary, facing back to back, right? I hope you are familiar with this meaning, opposite, something in contrary. Having the position on the other side of something or someone. Opposite is located directly across for something else or from each other. Example, his house is on the opposite side of the road. Now here it suggests that something, it suggests that the house is opposite the roadside, means facing back to back. She entered the house through the opposite door. Not the front door, the opposite door, right? Next, we have ceiling and ceiling. Pronunciation is the same, spell varies as well as meaning vary. Ceiling, the overhead upper surface of a covered space. Example, the ceiling of the room is painted red. He hated painting the ceiling. Now ceiling as a noun, right? The upper surface of a covered space is called ceiling. Okay. The second, ceiling, making tight, securing against leakage. Example, the clerk was sealing the letter in his office. So you might have heard of seals, okay, stamps. So sealing, okay, means an action. So next, this is the last pair we are going to discuss. That is dairy versus diary. So dairy as a noun, dairy is defined as a place where milk is stored and prepared into products such as cheese, yogurt, butter, or cream, or as a secondary sense as a company that sells these type of products obtained from milk. Example, the butter pork dairy is conducive to health. We are vegetarians and never consume dairy products. So technically, this seems to be likely words, but they are different. So you need to be very careful with the spell. It is really tricky. You could see that D-A-I-R-Y and D-I-A-R-Y. Okay, so the shuffling just goes with the alphabet. Now, diary. Diary is a noun that means a written record of someone's personal activities throughout a period of time. Example, since childhood, I have the habit to write my diary each day, right? So diary is used as a noun. Okay, so we have learned 10 confusing pair of words in today's lesson. So let me go back to the quiz I left in the starting. So let me share the right answers. Now we have learned about diary, dairy and diary. We have learned about already and already. We have learned about sealing and sealing. So here I went to the first sentence. I went to dash to write my dash. I went to the dairy to write my diary. So A should be here and B should be here. The second sentence, the football players are dash for tonight's game. Already or already? Let's quickly recall. Already. Let's quickly look at it. Already without space means previously or by the time, but already with space refers to something that is completely or fully prepared. So we will be using which one? Already with space. Let me come back to the quiz. So already with space. So the right answer is D. The football players are all ready for tonight's game. Now the last one, can you show me where the dash on the dash needs to be repaired? Where the sealing on the, now A should come here and B should come here. Where the sealing, okay, on the ceiling needs to be repaired. Okay, so that's all for today's lesson. So I will be coming up with more lessons based on confusing pair of words. If this lesson has been beneficial for you, do support by sharing it, commenting on it, and getting subscribed to my channel. See you in the next lesson.